All right. We will get started in just a few moments as our attendees file in. We'll give you all just a few moments before we get started. Just hang tight. Still see a few more people filing in, so just another moment and then we will get us started. All right. I believe I will go ahead and kick us off. So thank you all for joining us today for the webinar, Girls in Sports, Tools to Understand and Improve Engagement, presented by Gia, the Executive Director of Let Her Play. During the presentation, please send over any questions that you have in the Q&A feature. We'll make sure to get those answered for you. At this time, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Gia to get us started.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So happy Wednesday, everybody. I just wanted to do a little bit more housekeeping on top of what Brittany brought up there. I'm going to do a little bit of audience participation throughout this to help cater the presentation a bit more to the audience we have here today. So I'm going to ask that you put questions in the Q&A box, but when I ask questions, if you can answer actually in chat, that will keep the questions separate from the audience participation portion. But in general, this is meant to be as engaging as possible for a webinar. So feel free to throw anything out there you want answered, and I will try to answer kind of in the cadence of presentation as much as possible. All right, so I want to practice real quick. I know we have a handful of participants on board. I'd just love to know where you guys are from and whether you want to share any other pertinent details about your organization that may be helpful. So if you can just throw that in the chat for me, that would be awesome. Thank you, Whitney. Got some Illinois representation. Queens, awesome. North Carolina. Couple of North Carolina. All right. Super. So we're going to talk today, obviously, about girls in sports and what we can do to help improve engagement. So a little bit about me. As Brittany mentioned, I'm Gia Fruscione. I'm the Executive Director and founder of Let Her Play. We're a national organization, nonprofit, meant to support girls in sports. So as you know, or as you don't know, I'm going to share with you, I'm a first-generation college graduate. I'm a former two-sport Division I athlete, went to Princeton University, and then a member of the U.S. national team program for field hockey. Went on to get my doctorate in physical therapy and worked for 14 years in sports, performance, PT, and as an adjunct faculty member within an orthopedics program in PT and graduate school. I worked for 5 years after that in the healthcare startup ecosystem in digital health and healthcare delivery as both a founder and early employee. And last year I decided, call it COVID reflection or otherwise, to found Let Her Play, just to bring all of my knowledge and experience together to help girls excel in life by teaching them the integral life lessons that they learn through sports. So as you can see in this picture, I'm also the mom of two girls that I love to teach these lessons to also. So as far as what we're going to do today, I'm going to talk a bit about why engaging girls in sports is so important. How we're going to talk a little bit about via that chat box, how your organization is doing with it. We're going to look at 3 ways and talk through some ideas there on how to improve your organization's engagement of girls in sports, offer some programming options to support your needs. And like I said, there'll be a Q&A at the end, but if anything pops up as we go, please feel free to throw it in that Q&A box. So let's hop to it. We're going to talk girls, sports, and life success, and how together we can help to improve your community. So starting with some statistics, they paint a pretty troubling story. That being said, when you flip the script, there's actually an amazing opportunity presented by these statistics to help improve the lives of girls everywhere. So here comes the first audience participation question. For the next few slides, I'm just going to ask you to put in that chat box your best guess. No pressure, just whatever comes to mind as being your thought on what the answer might be. First, I want you to guess the percentage of girls between the age of 6 and 12 who are playing sports in the United States. So how many girls do you think are participating in sports between 6 and 12? Got a few answers. I'm going to give it another second. Peer pressure. All right, we got a variety everywhere from 20% up to 60%. 33%. And this is an Aspen Institute statistic from 2020, data from 2019. So we're talking pre-COVID. I'm pretty sure everyone on this call and everyone I've spoken to is still trying to recover from the pandemic with their participation numbers across the board. So I can almost guarantee that this number is actually lower than that. And in addition to having only 1/3 of the girls between 6 and 12 playing, girls drop out at a rate of 1.5% or 1.5 times that of boys from sports once they get to adolescence. So not only are we not bringing them into sports at the speed that we bring boys in, but we're not keeping them in sports. And the next few statistics are going to talk to why it's so important that we keep girls there. So next question, yes or no answer. Is there a wage gap between former athletes and former non-athletes? A little bit of a leading question, of course. Yes, there's a wage gap. It's not something we necessarily talk about or think about, but there's actually a 7% wage gap between former athletes and former non-athletes. And that's not across, that is across genders, so that's not female specific, but definitely speaks to the value that sports education and education through athletics brings to the life skills of the individuals playing. All right, third question, also just yes or no. Does a background in sports accelerate a woman's career? All right, so yes, it does. 74% of executives say women who have played sports have an accelerated career path. And this is obviously can be applied to any career and often other things in life too. So if I don't have you convinced yet, I've got one more question and statistic. I just want a percentage, a guess. How many female C-suite executives played sports? All right, we've got a range between 10 and 95. Whoever guessed 95 is pretty close. 94%. So 94% of C-suite executives played sports through high school. And that's a statistic that came up from a study that Ernst & Young and ESPNW did back in 2015. 52% of those women played in college. So now I don't expect every woman out there to aspire or want to make it to the C-suite. But the proof is in the pudding, in the sense that the women who have decided to make it that far have some skills that come from their sports participation that I think we need to pay attention to. So given the statistics and the fact that I believe they speak for the need for girls playing sports, how can we fix the equality problem at the end without appropriately preparing the girls from the beginning? And I believe a lot of that preparation comes from athletics participation. The next section, I'm going to ask for a bit more audience participation in the sense of length of answer. And there's only 2 questions. Just going to ask you to hang in with me for just a little bit. But if you can answer these questions, I can help cater this webinar a bit more to your needs and your organization's needs. And you get some kind of live coaching there based upon my experience and some of the things I'm seeing out in the world of youth sports. So first question. How is your organization doing with engaging girls in sports? Do you have a percentage of girls playing? Do you have that you can think of? Do you have numbers? Maybe the pandemic has affected how you're engaging. Feel free to take a couple of seconds or a couple more than a couple seconds and type, a response into that chat box for me. All right, so I'm seeing a couple of answers here. So one thing I noticed here, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong through the chat, with co-ed sports, I will say that the skills taken away are not necessarily gender specific. It's just that we have fewer girls participating. So without their participation, they're not learning the soft skills that you can take away from sports, that the boys are learning at a greater clip just because they're enrolling and participating both more frequently and for a longer period of time. I also noticed something about swimming. Yes, I've seen a number of programs in swimming and actually synchronized swimming in a couple markets that we're in with girls. And there's a lot that still that can be taught through that. We're also, I'm seeing volleyball as being a high participation also with struggles in some other sports. Yeah, so we're gonna speak to how I feel like you can improve engagement into other sports and even maintain engagement in the current sports. Like I said, that dropout rate for girls is pretty high, especially when we're not engaging them from the beginning at a rate that's comparable to boys, or even in my mind acceptable. So the next question is, what do you feel like are your biggest impediments to enrolling girls in sports programming? So what do you struggle with within your organization? What do you feel like you may need help with in order to improve, or what struggles do you know that exist? I'll give you guys just a little bit longer here to toss a couple answers into the box. Okay, Whitney, I'm going to ask you to elaborate on community social expectations because I'm really intrigued by that. I will say, Adam, I see your female coaches struggle. That struggles across the board. And I'm working to come up with a solution to that. I'm seeing that in a lot of places. I think it's really challenging for girls to see, try to see how to phrase this. When we go and play, I saw this year with my daughters playing ice hockey, and they're all male coaches out there. And I decided it was necessary that I got out on the ice. And I had a number of girls come up to me and say, "Did you actually really play hockey?" And when I said yes, they were almost floored. So they know they can play, but I don't think that they see the exemplar of what it could be to continue to play. And that's part of what my mission is here, but it's also offering some of the things that are needed to make it easier for coaches across the board to participate. I feel like there are struggles, especially in the community where we started this. I'm out in Western Colorado, and we use all volunteer coaches out here in our rec departments. And they're running out of a job, running into something. And if they haven't played basketball since middle school, offering them up some content and some curriculum to help them make it easier to run through those 10 practices without having to also come up with a practice plan. And we'll speak to that a little bit in a bit. And Ed, I'm looking at younger ones are participating So there are more at 12, 13, 14. So are you looking, you're struggling with, I'm asking, are you struggling with the older age groups? It's kind of what I'm taking away from that answer. And I'm also glad to see, Ed, that you're filling a gap for club programming, because that's something that I can speak to a little bit. I have found just through we have a conservative. So what I have found through what I've been doing is that marries my PT background and my sports background with doing this. Is 20 so years ago, we went to early specialization. We've had a lot of kids drop out of, kind of rec athletics because they've gone to 5-day-a-week travel soccer, but not everyone wants to play 5 days a week. Not everyone can afford to play 5 days a week. Not everyone's good enough to play 5 days a week. And that's left, through attrition, we've lost a lot of the older programming. And so my hope here is that we can empower enough girls to start at early ages and maintain them into programming, that we can start to rebuild some of that middle school and even high school, what I deem to be social sport. What we're learning from sports, it doesn't matter what level you play at, it just matters that you play. And I want to make sure that people understand that the social aspect of sport and what you take away from sport is really what we want to do here. We don't need everybody to be the next, Division I or Olympic athlete. We just need them to play. So yes, Ed, that's right. We're losing girls. We're losing boys and girls at older ages for the reasons I just stated. But like I said, because girls are not participating and dropping out, it's important to me that I get them in and keep them in. And that's what we're trying to solve for. And then as far as the conservative county, yeah, I will speak to something later in the presentation a bit about some of the things we have done out here in Western Colorado as kind of my beta site to get girls engaged. We have a 50% Spanish speaking county, a lot of Hispanic members of our community. And with that, a real struggle of getting girls engaged for many of the same reasons. But I'll talk to that a little bit later as an example. So thank you everybody for your participation. That's super helpful as we start to talk through kind of the next pieces of this. So we're going to go into a few general things that I think that you can do just within your facilities to improve engagement. These have been proven out through some of the beta sites we've worked with, and I just want to share them and spread them along to you to help you out. So 3 ways to improve your organization's engagement in girls sports. 1, educate and empower your coaches. I know this sounds, I'm making it sound so easy and I know it's not, and I know it's not, but I want to give you a few suggestions based upon things that we found to work. 1 is educate, educate, educate. You're going to hear me say that over and over again as we talk through the next few, these few things to do. Share with your coaches the statistics. Some that I shared, there are plenty more out there surrounding the benefits of sports participation for life success. Like I said, some of these statistics are female specific. Some of them are not, like wages and just general value of participation for learning soft skills. And then provide the information on the soft skills learned through sports so they can educate their athletes on the additional benefit of participation in sports. This is something that can be carried through from the athlete to the parent, or even directly to the parent or guardian, but deliver it in various different ways. We do it, we've done it a number of ways. We find that people are different types of learners, number 1, and number 2, it takes more than one delivery of kind of a lesson for it to stick. So combination of live delivery during a preseason coaches meeting, whether that be on Zoom or live and in person. So if there's some sort of orientation to some of these skills that you want the coaches to know that are present, and hopefully have them communicate. You can pass it along via email communication, provide handouts that they can read through, handouts they can share with their team, with the team's families. And then support them, provide content that's easy to access. That is key. Like I said, we have all volunteer coaches out here. I know we're not the only ones. I've talked to a number of different organizations who have some on staff, but most volunteer. And you need to make it easy for them to both learn and disseminate this information to their players and to their parents and guardians. So, whether that be handouts or some sort of material you have on a website for them, just make it easy for them to access, and that'll make it far more effective. When we talk about the soft skills, the things you want to talk about when you talk about the soft skills, we've broken them down, but We don't talk about learning about character and community and commitment and collaboration, the things that you take away from sports that are important. So these are things that you can speak to and that you can help educate your community and your coaches, as we're talking about here. We'll talk about community in a little bit, on these values, and help them to pass those along to their athletes and to their athletes' support system. So 2, we want to engage girls that are already playing. Anyone who has been in business knows that it's far more expensive to acquire a new customer than to maintain an already participating customer. So we want to make it as easy as possible for you to continue to maintain the population that you have in sports, and hopefully use those players to engage and improve your enrollment overall. So when we're talking about ideas to engage girls that are already playing, number 1, emphasize the community. So provide opportunities for your participants, their coaches, their families to interact with each other outside of the game to help emphasize the community and improve overall engagement. So you can work with a local school or sports organization to get your athletes to a game. So whether that's some of your elementary school programming and soccer, coordinate something where you get them to the high school soccer game and they watch those athletes play at a higher level, and see those girls who are older than playing a sport, and they can see themselves in those girls. It's the same community, it's the same participants, and you can start to build relationships across the community there. You can also announce or promote your sports and make it a community event. So think about your rec basketball that may be playing on a Thursday night. It's really exciting as an athlete to have someone beside your brother standing there watching you, someone from the community, someone you weren't expecting. So let's throw a party around Thursday night rec basketball. Invite kids who are from different levels of programming to watch other individuals at a higher level or lower level from them. Invite other community members and make it a community event. Make sure it's fun. No one wants to do anything that's not enjoyable. It's just the bottom line. But if it is enjoyable, the word spreads pretty quickly. So if you get girls involved and they're really having fun doing what they're doing, they're going to tell their friends, and that is going to improve your overall enrollment. The other thing you have to do is make sure you understand the takeaways that these athletes and the coaches and the families are taking away from these sports. Are they liking it, or are they not liking it? And what does that mean for you? Have a conversation. Pull someone aside after a practice and get some insight. Pull someone aside after a season and get some insight. It could be in the form of a survey if it's age appropriate, or if it's going to the parents. But you also want to have a conversation. Now, you can't fix everything, but one thing I learned from patient care is if you ask the right questions, they will tell you the answer. They will tell you what's wrong. And you have to do that with the same thing with your customers. You need to talk to them and find out and ask the questions, and they're going to tell you and give you feedback. And when you put that together, you can help to pull together a better program, or something that meets their needs a little bit more closely than what you may expect. And finally, bring awareness to the soft skills. So these are the soft skills we spoke about just prior with the coaches. But if girls understand that they're learning more than just how to play basketball or how to play soccer or how to swim, and they understand that they're learning all these other things, that's actually empowering. So talk about those soft skills, get your coaches to bring those up in practice. And that word will actually spread to the parents and guardians and family members through their children, and potentially to other friends also, and to community members. And that's going to be super important to getting them feeling like they're getting even more out of sport than they thought they were. Third, educating your parents and community. So you obviously see my theme here of educate, educate, educate. So we're going to talk here. You want to communicate the benefits. So similar to how I spoke about the coaches earlier, you want to talk about the physical and mental health benefits of sport, but you also want to talk about the soft skills and statistics. You want to deliver that in different ways. You want to use print, social media, email communications, presentations, ways of reaching a variety of your members. Everyone will interact with you in different ways, as you know, and repetition never hurts. So providing that content to the broader community to help reach those who you may not already have enrolled. Then you want to engage key community members. So find trusted community members who can help engage those who are difficult to reach. So you're talking about, who does your community trust? Who do you feel like you're not reaching, and who may be able to get to them? An example from the community out here, like I said, we are 50% Spanish speaking, and many who are coming from backgrounds where girls especially don't participate in sports. But we all know that there are health benefits, there are mental health benefits, and obviously all these social skill benefits that will help all of these girls excel in life when they learn them. So we went to a couple of key community members that we felt would be good liaisons to that community, that the community trusted and felt like they would be able to speak on our behalf. The other thing we did is we actually went to clinic pediatricians. We obviously know that participation in sports and athletics is a health benefit. And if that's the only reason they get in, but they get all the other things from it, that's okay with us. So the pediatricians were actually able to pass along a flyer to these families about getting their children, girls especially, enrolled in sports within our recreation center programming. And it also offered them the insights about what was available to them, and also the fact that we had aid available in case they could not afford to participate. So that went through our pediatricians, and we had a really great response from that program. And create community around sports. Again, I've talked about this earlier, but creating events or using existing events to bring the community together around sports is exciting. It also allows you to create a flywheel. So once people start participating in these events and they're watching other people play, they're going to want to do it too. You don't want to be left out. And as you start to bring those groups together and get them talking and get them engaging in that kind of new community within your community, you're going to be able to improve enrollment. So obviously nothing here is easy to start. Everyone's stretched for time and for resources, but there's a huge payoff once it's up and running. We want to make sure we can help you get this rolling to the best of our capacity. And the good news for you is that there's some programming that already exists to help improve girls' engagement in sports. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm the executive director of Let Her Play. We are an organization working to engage girls in sports across the country. So what we're trying to do as a national nonprofit, we're engaging girls in sports and supporting community-based sports organizations like yours to help improve their participation in programming. Our mission is that every girl in this country is playing sports, because we believe wholeheartedly that the life lessons they get through participation will carry them forward and make them more successful no matter where they go. So what we do for our partner organizations, we give you a lot in exchange for very little. We believe wholeheartedly in buy-in. We have a very small fee that we ask that you pay for subscription to our programming. But that in turn gives you a lot of things. We have a core values program. Content to the girls through their coaches. It is available across your organization. So once you pay, we do not watch over the number of participants as far as coaches or administrators or staff members that have access to the platform. We want the information out there. We want as many girls touching it as possible. So this curriculum discusses those soft skills. It's 10 lessons. It can be delivered across 10 practices, 10 weeks. We've had organizations use it with camps. So when you have a sports camp and they need some work, something during their downtime, they're doing 2 lessons a day over the 5-day period. So there are a lot of options in how to use it. It is sport agnostic. It does not matter. It can be put on top of any sport program within your organization: swimming, volleyball, softball. I have a synchronized swimming program using it. So anyone can use it. It's easy access online, as I mentioned, and this August, we'll be launching it across 3 different age groups. We'll have an early elementary group, a late elementary group, and a middle school group, and we'll have it translated to Spanish. So you'll have opportunities to present it in English and Spanish to those 3 different age groups. There are handouts that go with it. So these are also age appropriate. They're worksheets that are either pre-work or post-work, or could be done during your practice session also. Again, still age appropriate for the group. And finally, we will be adding video content from athletes and former athletes that speak to our core values and how sports and that core value has affected them in their life to date. So this does two things. I talked about ease of making it easy on coaches. This allows a coach to turn around their phone or turn around an iPad and play the video of the content for both consistent content delivery on our end, but also ease of delivery for the coaches. So the coach can say, we're going to talk today about community, and ask a question or two about what the athletes believe community means to them, and then just turn their phone around and have an athlete or a former athlete that's now in the working world speak to community, the definition of community, and what community means to them, how they took that away from sports. And finally, that video also, and that athlete offers an exemplar to the girls. This is someone that these girls can see themselves in and understand that, you know, one day I can be where this woman is or this girl is. So that's really important to us. We're also offer a marketing package. So the Let Her Play branded marketing package helps you disseminate this information. So we talk about the value of sports participation and statistics. We have content that's applicable to social media. You can send out via email or put online. Also print content, so things you can print out and hand out. It will ultimately be co-branded. We're happy to have you guys put your logo and information on it also. But this is in order to get that message out there and make it easier on you, so you don't have to actually create the content to do it. It will be refreshed quarterly. So every quarter, there's going to be new content involved in that package, so you can continue to offer more insights to your community. The third thing we do is offer an opportunity for grant funding. So Let Her Play has a grant application for partner organizations to provide scholarship funding for girls in need to offset their participation fees.
Hey everyone, it looks like Gia might have had some internet issues, so we will see if she pop back on. Give her a few moments here. She might have been near the end of her presentation, but we will give her just a few minutes. Thanks for hanging in with us.
Sorry, I just lost power. I'm back. Just going to.
Yeah, no problem. We hung tight. You are good to pick back up. Thank
All right,
you.
sorry about that. I just need the screen sharing back.
Yes, let's get you
Sorry
there.
about that, everybody. All right. Whew, there we go.
All set.
All right. There we go. All right, let me just share again here. What? Sorry, it's not letting me. There we go. Okay. Let me head through. All right, so I was talking about our grant funding. So I'll go through it real quick one more time. So we have a grant funding opportunity where we offer our partner organizations the ability to apply for grant funding from Let Her Play. You distribute that grant funding at your discretion, up to 80% of the cost of a program within your organization. We require that the participant's family has buy-in, which is why we have an 80% rule. We believe everyone should be responsible for a piece of their future. So we do think that that's not a prohibitive amount, generally speaking. I'm happy to discuss that further if you think it's going to be an issue for you guys. But we will refresh your grant on a quarterly basis up to 1 year, so 4 quarters, as long as the reporting is done on the grant funding use for the prior quarter. And like I said, that's not a prohibitive amount of information. We've got we're just asking for statistics on your program enrollment and how the grant money is being used and those sort of things. So pretty standard. The final thing we are doing, and we are piloting this fall, and I hope to be able to roll out more broadly moving forward, is what I consider a community activation program. So I'm originally from Central New Jersey. I was born and raised in Trenton, in the Trenton suburb of Hamilton. And I'm going back to Central New Jersey to launch a community program. So we are taking Mercer County and the kind of general region and bringing the Let Her Play programs there together with programming. So we are going to do events around women's athletics in Mercer County, support from some local organizations that I will hopefully be able to announce very soon, but can't quite yet, to bring not just the local Ys and rec centers and schools and JCCs together, but bringing together the entire region of our Let Her Play programs to sporting events to bring the mission together more broadly. So I'm pretty excited about that. I hope to be able to get that off the ground, like I said, in Central New Jersey later this year. And then once that is modeled, be able to translate that to different regions across the country. So look for more information there. The other thing I love to do is talk to people. I'm happy to offer kind of 30 minutes of my time to talk through what your organization struggles with, what you need help with, how we can help, what else I've seen work and not work. Talking to people helps inform me about the other problems that are out there. If I can help you solve something, it will likely help someone else somewhere else. So it's not by any means anything that I don't love to do. I'm here to help and get everybody improving their girls' participation in sports. And I need you all to do that. I can't do this myself, but if I can offer some of the insights that I see other places to the broader community, that's what's going to help everybody. So this is also my email address. It goes directly to me. Feel free to use that email, copy down this is my calendar link. If you want to email me and ask me for my calendar link, that also works. Totally fine with that. So that's it. If anyone has any questions, feel free to toss them in that Q&A box, and I will answer them for you to the best of my ability, or be able to get back to you with additional information.
Awesome. So glad you were able to pop back on, Gia.
Yeah, sorry about that. It was totally obviously unexpected. I was like, wait, where did everyone go? Thank you, everybody. If you want to drop, like I said, my email is just gia@letherplay.org. Feel free to reach out. I may follow up. I believe I get everyone's email address from Community Rec, so I'm happy to follow up with you guys directly afterwards too, just to pass along some information. I would love to talk to anybody who's interested in just figuring it out and what we can do to help your organization. So.
Awesome. Yes, and that is true, Jay. You'll have that information, and we will also have this webinar available on demand on the Community Rec website. We'll share it in our e-blast that goes out every week also. So anybody who would like to revisit the webinar, any of the slides here, that will be available. So with that though, amazing presentation. Thank you for sharing this.
No, absolutely. Thanks everybody for joining. Appreciate it. And thank you, Brittany.
Yeah,
Appreciate the
thank
help.
you. Everyone have a great day.
Yeah, see ya. Thanks.
Bye.